Hello, I'm Ted Cantu, and I'm the Lord Mayor of Rottingham. I built this set to talk about Christmas narcissism. I didn't even realize it was a thing, but I wanted to address it because I got some friends out there who watch the show and they're hurting this season, and rightly so. And it's a horrible thing to go through, and sibling rivalry, problems with your family, and that sort of thing. So, and I realized that I have a lot of that stuff too. I just don't really address it. I don't talk about it. So I built this set, and for a very good reason. And I'm going to go through about three stories, maybe three or four stories about narcissism on the holidays. And I'm not going to cry or, cry my eyes out like Richard Simmons or a Tony Robbins guest because I have a good sense of humor, and really, it's probably the only thing that really saved me over the years because some of the things I experienced were really quite awful. But when I look back on it now, I can just really laugh about it. So anyway, welcome to the show. I'm Ted Cantu. It is day 68 for me since I started doing this miracle Mindshift thing. And I basically just rewired my brain on a subconscious level and got rid of a lot of negative experiences. And as a result, got a lot of really clear perception on 2024 and life in general. So welcome. I am I'm an ex-art director from Chicago and New York City, and that might come up a little bit today because I gotta say, when I was in advertising, I had to fly home, and if I had to fly home for some of the events that I'm going to share with you now, I probably would have just been traumatized and just beyond myself. But I've really come to terms with life and just realized that no matter what you do, you're always going to have hatred and haters and jealousy and people who are just, you know, just really not on board with you. So uh, there's really no way to really do an upside intro for this topic. So I'm just going to dive into it and just go through my agenda. I have a lot of things here. So first of all, what is this Rottingham thing about? Now, say I'm the Lord Mayor of Rottingham, which is so absurd, but really it is about. Uh, it's a joke because I was gifted a rotted ham this Christmas season, and it was a friend of the family who did this for us. And I didn't know how old the ham was. So, hence, Rottingham. Uh, the ham came in a plastic bag, and we put it into the slow cooker. We were told to cook it, right? But the thing was, I didn't know how old the thing was. It was actually pretty old. It was, it might have been from last Christmas, or it might have been from Easter, or maybe the Easter before. It was a year ago. Who knows how old it was? It could have been like a year old on Easter, which we make it a year and a half, whatever. So I put this thing inside the slow cooker, and I just thought, well, I was looking forward to it, really. And so something kind of went wrong. I started smelling like this foul odor, and it was really, it wasn't really gelling right. And I reached in and pulled out a little piece of it, tasted it, and lo and behold, it tasted like freezer burned or and kind of rotten, really. So long story short, I got to shorten this down. We had to drive to our casino and hotel, and my family owns that. Um, I was driving with it, and the bag was partially open because I was going to throw it away at the first gas station I came to. And the really weird thing about it was that my mom insisted that I drive with this thing in my front, uh, as I'm driving, and the steering wheel was, how can I say this? It was, I don't know if I was losing consciousness, but I was really disturbed that there was no other place to put this thing except right in front of me. And why do I have to smell it? You know, I didn't smell it right. And I played devil's advocate with it, and I went to take another piece off it just to make sure it was as rotten as I thought it was the first time, and it was it was pretty rancid. So uh, when I got to the gas station, I pulled the ham out, pulled it apart, looked at the bone, and it was completely black, like it was rotted. I mean, just like completely grotesque. And I didn't understand why anybody would gift this to us. That's a gift, you know. I mean, and why did you wait so long to give it away to us when you could have given it to us last summer, or you could have given it to us for a picnic or something, but you chose Christmas? And I wasn't really putting things together at that point, but I started thinking that was just kind of odd. And I ended up, throwing the whole thing away. And of course, I went out to dinner with my mom on Christmas Day, and I smelled something really, really horrid, like death, like death. Um, and I thought, where's that coming from? And I took my hand and I kind of like smelled myself, smelled my breath like that. And I was, oh my God, it's coming from me. I got this rancid, rotted ham breath. Then I started thinking about it. I'm thinking like, why would someone give that to us? Is it because we're well, I mean, you got to bring ethnicity into it. You got to wonder what people think about. This came from Livonia, Farmington Hills area, and we're not big hits down there. I'm Native American, Mexican, and a little bit of French, a little bit of Italian background. Not really from here. I've lived in a lot of places, so I'm not really don't really fit the mold down there. So I started wondering about this for a minute. And I got some friends that are going through some really interesting times right now with their own families. And there's a lot of dysfunction. And I started thinking about this. And I thought, oh, why is it on the holidays, there's always a family or a group of people that want to make themselves known to us, me mostly, and they want to impart some sort of either guilt, shame, or sadness, and they go way out of their way to make trouble. And I realized that I had some of this in my own family too. I started thinking about all the times that this has come up. So I'm not really sure if the ham thing was done deliberately because of who I am or what, but I do think it was odd. And to get the door open to a topic which I'm going to call Christmas narcissism. Now, I got some upside news and some tools at the end that we could sort of like go through. This may be a two-part series. I'm not sure yet. I may have a lot to say, but I'm going to go through it as much as I can quickly, and then we can start to dig in. So the ham thing was really quite strange, and I'm wondering, was this done deliberately? Because who would do that? Like if I had rotted food in my house that I was going to throw out, I wouldn't think to wrap it up. This is really creative. I wouldn't think to wrap it up, even to my worst enemies. I wouldn't even think about doing this and wrapping it up, putting it in the freezer, waiting. My God, how long? How long was it? 8 months? a year? I mean, how long did you? The question is, how long did you wait and make a conscious decision to give somebody rotted food and then go to the expense and the trouble of freezing it? Yeah, freezing it before you actually give it away. How long were you thinking about doing that? Good Lord, that's like it's just so much thought and so much energy. It'd just be, better off put the card together and saying F you on it. But I mean, like the immense time is ponderous. Anyway, um, so okay, so let me go back to the 80s. And the 80s were a really weird time. There's I was going to show you my wallet for a minute, but I'll show you on the screen what exactly how this pertains to the story. All right. So anyway, in the 80s, there's always this college rivalry thing. What school do you want to go to? And why are you going? And I went to Eastern Michigan University because I wanted to go into the art world, and advertising is really what was my passion. Well, if you know anything about Ann Arbor, the big thing is you have to be U of M only. That's like the thing. Everyone just, really, really pushes this idea. And I was invited to a Christmas party. And it wasn't so much a Christmas party as it was like an interrogation. Like, where do you go to school? I went to EMU. Oh, how come you didn't go to U of M? Well, at the time I was like kind of lost for words. I'm like, well, EMU has a better art school and there's some things I want to do. And these people were like really taking a genuine interest in me. So I thought. And it's like, are you saying that U of M isn't good enough for you? I mean, I don't this woman's like super nasty. And I was like, well, um, couldn't think of a good response at the time. And she just like, you know, really, really just digging into me. Uh Triangulation, intensity. I was getting it from this person and that person over here just asking about my college choice. Well, it's funny because U of M had a really weird art school. I mean, you can go and get a degree there, but they were really pushing this thing for like medical illustration, which I thought was just absurd. And or you could take 5 months and make a gigantic paper mache elephant or a giraffe, right? And get an extension for another 5 months and keep working on it until you got your college credits in. I mean, and then go into some really goofy thing like art therapy for deaf kids and teach them how to do watercolor. And just really bizarre, just career choices. And I wanted to go to Chicago and do that. Some really really great advertising places over there. This is back in the time when we had really incredible people. Charles Spencer Anderson was there doing some really great things. There was also uh, the guy who did Thirst. It was Rick Velocenti, and Art Shantry was doing some really great things back then. And MTV was still a real thing, not like it is now, but it was incredible. And of course, Soho was just exploding with talent and projects, and the whole world was alive. So doing medical illustration seems silly to me. Um, but anyway, so we got through this thing. I didn't pass the test. They didn't really like me, and I ended up I moved out of my house, and I had an apartment with a bunch of guys. So I had this box of Christmas stuff that I was collecting over the years, like Hallmark gifts, these little ornaments. And I put a lot of thought into like collecting them. I had really, really cool stuff. I had like these like little metal houses that you buy tea and you get like this little metal house from the UK and stuff. And I had like Australia, I had like stuff from London, all these little tea tin buildings. That meant something to me, right? And ornaments. Um, Somehow this box got put into storage with these people. Yeah, and I went and I kind of forgot about it, and I had to really kind of like live out of boxes for a while. And I really thought my stuff was going to be in safe hands, but there's a falling out with my family and theirs, and then they ended up throwing my stuff in the garbage. I couldn't get it back. All my Christmas stuff. I I don't know. I mean, take your pick of why it happened, but there's a lot of bitterness there. The woman that the granny in the family didn't like us, and she died since. And she was old then, so she's well off on her way, wherever she is. And I guess I just gotta wonder what's the temperature like over there in the afterworld where she's at. And if we were to drop a line to each other, what would we say to each other? You know, I chose to forgive her personally because I don't want to carry her magnetic, energetic garbage in my energy field. I let it go. I found the whole thing was really weird. And then years later, you always think about, well, I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have done it this way. It occurred to me that I could have gotten to U of M because the guy who put me together for this grant I got my tuition paid for. I was offered a chance to either go to U of M or EMU, and or state. I could have went to state or Central or Western, whatever. But I chose Eastern because it was close to Ann Arbor, and I thought that was a cool city. And but he did offer me a choice. I got my grades up, and I was able to get in, and that was it. But I turned U of M down because Eastern had a much more concentrated graphic arts program, and I went and got a BFA, and I got a film degree and all that stuff to go with it, and telecommunications. Made sense to me. I think I was pissing people off with it, and then around the same time, I'll just mention it briefly, and I'll move on. There was a girl I knew, and she gave me this really bizarre speech about college and life and just things in general about me because I moved like, well, 12 times at that point, and I wasn't really fitting in. And she said something like, "You'll never be one of us," around the same time. And it was like a big shock going through my body because I wanted to have a place where I could just live and call home. And I realized that I would just have to keep on running for I don't know how long. And I was never going to really fit in. And then also, you're not one of us. You'll never be good enough. This stuff. When you're young, all these things go racing through your mind, and you get like this like panic and terror about the whole thing. But now when I look back on it, it actually did me a favor, really, because I'm thinking about football weekends and the weekends for U of M, Ann Arbor. These restaurants are all filled, like Weber's. What was the other one? God, what was it? The Brown Jug, all right, on State Street. And I'm thinking, you'll never be good enough for that. And I got the same speech when I went to Stratford. I used to live in Stratford, Connecticut. Again, I lived like 2 or 3 times. I lived there. I went as a youth, as a professional, as an adult. And I got that same speech for this place called JJ's, which is basically from freezer to table. It was nothing special about it. And Brown Jug was kind of the same way. And it was just like, wasn't that great? It wasn't memorable. I can't really remember like one good meal I had there, but it was the idea that you're not good enough from freezer to table, which is really kind of strange because the reason why I was looking for my wallet, I was going to show you my card. I'm a member of Costco. Costco is basically freezer to table, and you pay for it. And I just thought it was just a really strange observation to put on somebody that you'll never be good enough for that. You know, uh, just so strange. And that was around the holidays as well. I'm thinking, okay, this is great. I had a big falling out with my family when I was young because I bought my cousins, my little cousins, there was little girls. I bought them a set of Smurf dolls, and I collected them and for the purpose of giving them as a gift. And it had like a little village, and I thought it was cute, a good gift. Um, Spent about 2 months putting that together, just collecting different ones and putting some thought into it and put it into a box. And they had like little mushroom houses and stuff. And yeah, it wasn't like a $400 gift, but it was really well thought out, and they came from France, and you know, kind of put some thought into it. And then I got my aunt this pasta maker because I lived in the East Coast. I thought maybe, I don't know, in my dumb mind, I realized it was a dumb thing now, but got her a pasta maker, right? I thought she has friends. She can entertain, her friends with this thing. Um, there was probably some jealousy there that I moved to the East Coast and became like this different person. And then when I moved back, she couldn't probably relate to me at all. I just to guess. I never really know because we never actually worked our way through it. But she was pissed off big time, and she slammed the gifts on the table, packed everything up, and her and her husband and the kids walked out of the house on Christmas. Now I was more emotional than I was. What was that? 20. Uh, and I got I think I cried over it, but that was the last time I did. Anyway, it was really strange. It was a strange reaction, and I'm just saying this for a reason because this sort of thing happens a lot in me, in my energetic field, and I know you can't please everybody, but it also comes down to getting along with your family and stuff is it's not always easy. So I'm thinking about all this stuff, and she had this thing too that she would do. There was this green jacket. It was not that even, I don't know, just nothing special. It was a green windbreaker, really, with a hood. And she had me try it on before she gave it to me. Just, I bought this jacket for your uncle. Try it on, see if it fits. I just thought about this today. So I did. And what it was um, when Christmas showed up, I was gifted this box, and I opened it up, and I took the windbreaker out. And I said, I've seen this before. Why am I getting it? And I thought, was she just playing a joke on me that it was really for me? She wanted to see if it really fit me. But then it just dawned on me today that she had gifted that to my uncle, and he didn't want it because he was fussy too. And then it was regifted back to me. So we would like do these gifts, and then she would take the gifts, and then like if she didn't like it, she would throw it away. She probably threw my stuff away. Now I think about it, because I never saw it again. I used to go to their house, their apartment. I never saw the toys and stuff that I bought for the kids, and I never saw her use my pasta maker. And I would have taken it back actually, because I'm looking for one now. I'm actually going to be buying one here next couple of weeks. But I just thought that was weird, this whole gifts thing. So eventually it got so bad where I would just give money out. I said, here, here's $40. There's no emotional thing attached to that. And it was basically, well, what do you want me to do with it? I'm like, well, go buy, you want the Beatles CDs, go buy them. I mean, I'm not going to pick them out for you. I'm not going to shop for you. I'm not going to gift wrap it. I'm not going to give you a card. I'm just going to give you the money, And I'm not even going to stick around for dinner. I'm going to leave, and I'm actually going to go out with my friends. And that's really what it was. Towards the end, it was really bad. Um, I stopped going to their house. Things just got so ugly. So that was my story with that. All right, now that's two really ugly Christmases. Um, the other one was, oh my gosh, let me see. There's some bad ones in here. Um, oh geez, I had to go to this Christmas party. Now I didn't want to go. I was forced. I wasn't really forced to go. I was friends with this woman. She's an elderly woman that we used to kind of look out for. She kind of adopted us at a health event, and my mother loved her. She was a nice woman, but she had a sister that was really nasty. And I should have said no. I should have said no. I don't want to go because I didn't know these people. And I thought, well, I don't want to show up empty-handed. So I went down to Cantoro's and I bought this. It was a gourmet grocery store. I bought this some like imported peach tea from Naples. It was kind of cool. Had a story attached to it, you know. Uh, and I might have bought some cheese or something. I don't know. I just, you know, I didn't want to show up empty-handed because there's going to be this big dinner party. So I get over there and um, it was one of those one of those things where I just go in and I'm looked at up and down and interrogated and really uncomfortable personal questions. How come you don't have a girlfriend? Are you sleeping with anybody? Oh, and how long has that been going on? And what are you going to do next? Are you going to marry this woman? Oh, and so what are your intentions with our family? I just met these people. I don't have any intentions. In fact, I want to get the hell out of here is what I want to do. So anyway, this woman was really drunk. She had this one. I'm sorry. So the host was this woman's sister, and she got really drunk on Bud Light. Now you got to really work at that. I don't know how long this has been going on, but usually when you get Bud Light, couple drinks, couple hours later, you're fine. It's just like there's nothing to it. And my question was, how did you become such a rabid drunk on Bud Light? Because that's like not easy to do. That's like kind of like hard. If you want a real beer, let me show you something. You want something, you want something real. Get one of these. This is an Iron Maiden beer from Rottingham, probably, right? So I mean, this is the stuff if you want to get wicked drunk, man, and wasted. Yeah, Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills, baby. And I'm talking about some real serious stout, and this is some English lager that has a real bite. And anyway, so the party was horrible. I ended up, I was going to leave, and then she said something really weird to me because I was selling health supplements at the time, and she kind of puts me aside, and she says, "You know what? Out of all the people here at the party," she goes, "I feel sorry for you the most." And I'm like, "You don't got to feel sorry for me." And she says, "Because um, you're selling health supplements," which I was, and she goes, "And you're nothing." Glad I'm here, folks. Okay, so I did it as a favor for my mother to show up because she was supposed to show up instead of me, but I went in her place just to, you know, be just keep the door open just to be friendly, goodwill. I really didn't really want to be there. Looking back on it, I should have said I didn't want to go. Now I'm smarter. I don't go to a lot of these things. In fact, when the holidays come, I gotta wonder, what are your intentions? Why do you want me to be there so bad? What is it about me that you need to have me there? Yeah, on Christmas. the happiest time of the year. What is it? What is it about you that needs to have me there, like at that time? Because like the whole year, I don't hear anything from anybody. Labor Day parties, um, Memorial Day parties, July 4th, I don't hear a thing. But Christmas, for some reason, that's when all the shit starts. So uh I'm not done. I'm gonna keep going. Um, here we go. Here we go. Oh, I don't know if I want to tell this story. This is pretty horrible. Mm, yeah. All right. Um, okay, so I was in Muskegon, my hometown, until I was 10. After that, I didn't really go back a whole lot. We moved a lot and stuff, and um my dad would never really come out to see us or me. I would have to drive in to see him. And in fact, he didn't even help me out through college. I had to work in college. He didn't contribute at all with front of the court and stuff. Like I never we never had that kind of a relationship. So I'd come home maybe once or twice a year, if that. And even when I did, I didn't see everybody. So they didn't, out of all fairness, they didn't really know me. A lot of my own Cantu family. But it was funny because I had this aunt about Rottingham. I've actually decided to cut that story and save it for my books. And there's a lot of interpersonal stuff going on there with my immediate family that I chose to keep uh, under wraps. And I'll save it for my books because the examples in there do pertain to your whole well being. And they're horrific stories, but I cut them down just to keep things polite. That's there you go. But they probably will pop up on some of my books because they're pretty extreme examples. Okay, now back to the show. In place of my family drama, which is always something happening, I decided to replace it with this one story about the holidays. Okay, and it happened at Christmas time, and I didn't put it in the other sequence, so I'm going to do it now. So here's what it was. Somebody, as a friend of the family, actually gifted us with it looked like an eagle wing or an owl wing. It might have been an owl wing. Now I think about it, because it was brown and it was big. It came like in the shoebox, and there was no card and there was no gift message or no holiday message, and it was gifted to us, my mother and I. Uh, and it wasn't well packaged, and the wing had like it was broken like at the I don't know, at the shoulder, and there's blood on it. So it looked like someone just found something outside, a dead bird, and just ripped off the wing and threw it in the box and gave it to us for Christmas, which is pretty insensitive. Now we're Native Americans, so it's kind of like, there are over 300 tribes, and I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do with this wing. And I certainly never had a reason to own a bird wing in my house. And I checked it for lice and stuff, and it was just a really unseemly choice for a gift to give someone that you don't even know, just based on their ethnic heritage. And I was in charge of um, returning this insensitive gift back to the owner with a letter. So I had to write a 3 paragraph letter and basically tell them thank you, but no thank you. We don't want to accept this gift. And it was pretty insensitive. And I don't exactly know what their intention was for us to use it. And I told them to use it in the way that they wanted us to use it, and just basically just get out of our sight and don't ever contact us again. It's a really good example of how to just basically disrespect somebody's culture at the same time saying screw you on the holidays, which is something I don't really get. So that story about Christmas narcissism is going to replace some of the episodes in the Rottingham episode. All right. Thanks for watching. Back to the show. So let me tell you about my business group. That was really weird. I had a business group, and I had a woman who wanted me to come in at Christmas time, or actually it was around, I think it was at Thanksgiving time, and talk about, the question was, how did it feel to grow up in a teepee your whole life? A teepee? I wouldn't know because I was born in 1966. I never lived in a teepee. I wouldn't even know what to do in that situation because it's unrealistic. It's never happened. Nobody lives in a teepee in 2023. I mean, seriously, um, how did that feel to no? And I think the question was, how did it feel to grow up in a teepee your whole life? It's a really stupid question. And I couldn't believe it. And I said, well, I want you to come explain it to these white people for Thanksgiving. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And that's a stupid question. And I don't know what kind of joy or what the outcome is supposed to be aside from humiliation or the idea of making myself the center of attention for other people's amusement. They were insensitive and culturally ignorant, right? That's no other word for it. So I said no. And I started stacking up these episodes, and I realized uh, the jealousy, anger, the verbal abuse, calling me, what'd she call me? The girl called me a piece of shit. That's what it was, because I live in Detroit. That's what she called me. I never even had a conversation with her before. Really, I said hi a few times, and I don't know her. She's obviously very, very young, but and there's a huge age gap there. But I've always been very friendly with them. And then finally, I just said the hell with it. And as far as my aunt goes, so there's always this thing. And by the time I graduated, I got to tell you the whole thing. Nobody came to my graduation. There's another reason to go blow your brains out. I know people in this generation right now that if that were to happen to them, they'd kill themselves like that. You wouldn't have to think about it. I'm a lot stronger than that. By the time this stuff rolled around and it happened, I was like, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't wait to get out of college. I couldn't wait to. Point was, yeah. So nobody came to my graduation, which I thought was really weird. My dad could have came, but for some reason he didn't feel like driving up, and he always used to say, my dad would say, he sees me. I never go see him. He comes up to see me, and that was his whole thing. Um, I don't understand the dynamic in my family, and I'm not going to go on with it. And I'm certainly not going to break down like this woman over here. That's never going to happen. So for a joke, I called the show Rottingham. It's a Theodore C. Christmas special live from Rottingham, UK. It's Theodore C. I have a big sense of humor about it, but I do think it's weird, and I think it's the events that happen are very strange. Honestly, I gotta say, but carrying guilt and carrying resentment is very heavy and it's very costly, and it can release toxic chemicals in your brain from your emotional limbic brain. You could poison yourself. You could actually give yourself diseases too, psychosomatic illnesses, diseases, and cancer. Right. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. You're reading the book of Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I've been talking about a lot. His book about the brain is really, really interesting. Now, I've been doing some subconscious reading over the holiday, over Christmas, about the I am. Now, we should do a whole show about the I am because it's so fascinating. And I do like the books I'm reading. However, I feel that this author is going through some sort of euphoria because it's all new to him, and he's not going deep enough for real impactful outcomes. And I really do believe when you're dealing with this kind of like trauma, stress, um, negativity, quantum uh, change, that you will want to go deep with it to either erase harsh judgments, bad moments, bad episodes, bad people, rotting ham, whatever was behind the motive for that. I'll never really quite get that. Was it because we're caretakers for these people? Was it because like we hate our help? They're lower than us. They're servants. Give them the rotting ham. What was the motive behind that? And why did you wait so long? I'm glad you did that because this triggered off all these other episodes that seem to always come up around the holidays where people have to posture themselves as being better than thou, and then also simultaneously, treating you like garbage. So I looked it up. Christmas narcissism. Is it a real thing? Yeah, it is. Let's see what they say about it. Because I don't want to keep this going too long. These were done deliberately. These acts that I'm explaining to you, throwing out my Christmas stuff on purpose to hurt me, to somehow hurt my feelings, throwing me out of your house, calling me a piece of shit, which I don't even know these people. I don't even know these people. He's not my nephew, and I want nothing to do with him. This kind of stuff. I'm getting from like different, not just one person, but like different aunts, different people, and it got me really thinking about uh, it got me thinking about the definition of family. What is family? And family doesn't really have to be people that you're biologically related to or related to through marriage. I've really thought about people that I'm close to or that I relate to or that I vibrate with is my family. Seriously. Uh, and I don't really get that with my biological family. In fact, there's there's um there's times where we couldn't be more different. And I'm just saying that, and there's some friends that I have that I'm really close to. That's a lot tighter. It's a lot tighter of a match. Now, when I go through this thing, narcissism, you should look this up because it's a real thing. And why does it happen? How does it okay, so how does oh boy. Why does this sort of thing happen? There was one that suggests that you get this from your family because they are jealous that they haven't done the same things that you have, or they can't relate to you because you become somebody else. Or the one I thought was really interesting was they're afraid that you're going to leave them behind. And it was really weird. It reminded me of the song by the Smiths, and it was called London. And he said, um, oh, this guy is talking about like he's gonna leave and leave his town. And he said something about his family. He says, "Did you see the jealousy of the in the eyes of the ones that you had to leave behind?" And that's a really interesting line. And it's unbelievable. But there's a lot of psychological and verbal abuse. If you're a weak person, you're going to be subjected to this finger pointing, accusations that you think you're better than everybody, which I got a lot of because I was a first generation college. But to have physical walkouts of your family from your own house on the holidays, which is probably like the most gut wrenching thing you probably go through. Once you go through it a couple times, it's always going to suck. But once you go through it, you know, you're kind of like dead inside if you hold on to the memory. But if you scrub your brain through meditation, the 4-step breathing process, and you actually erase all of the drama, all of the guilt, all of the shame, and all of the negative qualities, it goes away. And the funny thing about it is that it almost becomes like a really bad movie that you that you might have watched on the Hallmark Channel, or I don't even watch those, or Lifetime for women. Remember that was a thing? These dramatic movies. And it's almost like it happened to somebody else, which is the really good thing about it. Once you finally go through that cleansing process and you clean out your mind, that's the best, really. And then it doesn't sting anymore. You don't even feel it. And it's almost like all of those memories happened to somebody else. And honestly, for myself, I was just glad to get rid of them. All of them. All the whole thing, man, was unbelievable. And I just want to say that it gets better because it just does. But here's the thing, though, that I really thought was interesting. When I read the I Am book, it talks about this. This guy's talking about how to overcome his problems. He's enlightened. He's part of the I Am, the mighty I am that I am. That was when Moses meets God up in the mountains. Uh, you know, he speaks over himself. This author speaking over himself, but I am worthy. I am capable of love. I am, overcoming problems. Um, what's interesting about that is it's deep work that you got to do, and you got to do it for yourself internally. But here's a question for you. If you're trying to go back to your family and trying to work with them and achieve a state of peace with them, honestly, you're going to get some ruts. You're going to go right back to where you were before, and it's going to be frustrating. So here's a thought. It's always going to be like that. And you know why? It's going to be like that because the people that you're dealing with are not enlightened. Simple. They are not enlightened people. They're not. They're not developed. When you go through your Kundalini and you turn on all your chakras and you clean out all the mental garbage, and you're able to establish a set of peace, and also dictate how your emotions are going to be spent and how you're going to develop your outcomes. When you start to choose your outcomes because you know how to have control, that's a very powerful place to be. But if you're going to backpedal and try to like fit in with dysfunctional people who are off the rails, who are probably never going to get straight before they leave this world. They're always going to have problems because they have limited vision. And you're going to experience more rotten Christmases, more rotten family events, more fighting, more tears, more bullshit, more drama. I guarantee it. And that's the way it's going to be the rest of your life. Not me. I had a really good Christmas outside of the gift, which triggered off this series of bad memories. And I got to say, I'm kind of glad that it happened. And yeah, I'm glad it happened because the rest of my holiday was actually pretty peaceful. And I was able to spend time in front of the fireplace reading my I Am book and trying to figure out why this guy thought he achieved this high state when he didn't. Because all he did was mentally look at his beliefs and come up with some new beliefs and let go of some old stuff. And he thought that was enough to create this epiphany, to create total freedom. It must have worked because it's published, he got published, which that's a big book. And it's a good book. It's a good starter book. I just don't think he went deep enough to really have any kind of long staying results. Not by a long shot, man. Because you got to dig deep if you want this stuff to go. And you got to get rid of it. And you got to learn to not take ownership over other people's garbage. And energetically, that's going to really attack you and make you ill. Not only that, it's going to probably reject a lot of good frequencies. When we're talking about living in the four crowns with empathy, pure love, serving other people, which we call communion, and just serving at a high level. And that's going to be the space that you want to operate in. Not the jealousy, not the guilt, not the shaming, not the cursing, not the cussing, not the discounting. On a daily, consistent basis has no place. That has no place in your living environment. And I am to the point where I will not allow this stuff to come in and get cozy and make themselves at home. These people with this agenda of crabs in a bucket. Crabs in a bucket. That came up with the Christmas narcissist. They don't want anybody getting higher than them. We used to call crabs in the bucket, call out people in the corporate world. It was the same way. Nobody wants anybody to get any higher. And you got to stay at a certain level and be mediocre. That's a big thing. And to be miserable. Because at that point, you're easily controlled. You think I'm kidding around? I'm not. I was in my hotel room last night trying to find something on TV to watch. And there's a lot of Christmas shows, and that's kind of what I was doing. I'm a big Chevy Chase fan. I like to watch Christmas Vacation, even though I've seen it a million times. And I noticed that the TV guide was kind of slipping a little bit. They would show some classic Christmas movies and specials, but they were slipping in the usual stuff. And I got this picture, it was so funny on the thing, the TV guide. It said, "It's a Wonderful Life," right? It's a classic film with Jimmy Stewart and all that, Donna Reed. And then right above it was a program called My 600-Pound Life. The same time slot, different channel. So It's a Wonderful Life. and then here's my 600-pound life. Now today, day after Christmas, the radio stations have gone back to their rock and roll stuff. TV channels went right back to where they were before. We got cop shows, fire shows about Chicago PD or whatever. We got shows on homicides, true crime, murder shows, shows on serial killers. They're back on. The day after Christmas, man, it's like, and I'm sitting there, and in horror movies, wow, it's unbelievable. And I'm sitting there thinking, you couldn't wait. You just got to go right back on it. And they call it programming, right there in the TV guide, program. It is programming. People run on this stuff. And, death metal, just horror movies, homicides, serial killers. This is what people run on. These are the stories that they feed themselves with. This is what they do. News media. I cleaned all my stuff out because I don't want to deal with these frequencies. I don't want to work in that space of fear, terror, and negative hate, jealousy. I don't want to deal with it. So I cut it out. But I'm the jerk, right? People hate my guts. And that's fine too, because you can't please everybody. But I'm telling you what I am not going to live with. And they can say whatever they want to say about me. I don't give a damn. But I'm not going to carry that stuff around with me everywhere I go. And, be an emotional cripple and have my life in balance on a thread because I'm not getting enough love from them, or whatever their dynamic is. They can have full ownership of that. It's got nothing to do with me, and I'm not going to carry it with me. Just not going to do it. It doesn't even sound appealing. So that's that. You choose what you want to do with yourself. You choose how you want to experience the universe and how you want to overcome your problems working with a quantum field, reaching a higher dimension of yourself. And yeah, you're going to probably have a lot of enemies. You're going to probably have a lot of jealousy because people can't make the breaks. They can't get the lucky breaks that you're getting, and they can't reach the levels that you're getting. So you're always going to have trauma. It's, what do you want to accept? What do you want to work with? Do you want it? Do you need it? No. A lot of what I see, I don't need it. In fact, I don't even want it. So that's fine. And along with that, you're going to go through some shifts. You're going to probably lose a lot of friends too. People that just can't relate to you anymore just because they can't reach the heights that you can go to. If you watch the videos in this series, you'll see that I've gotten over some really horrible tumors in my feet. I got rid of that. God did that. The God power. And you may call it source. You may call it universe. You may call it, however you want to do it, higher consciousness. I plugged in. I got healed through natural fruits, vegetables, juicing, and I overcame my problems. I'm going to do it again. And I keep on doing it. Keep on getting higher. Get those muscles, I call them muscles, to repair mind, body, spirit. Not easy, but you got to do it if you care about yourself. And you got to have your neurons in your brain firing the right way. Your neurocortex is right here. Your neocortex. Let me tell you something. This is all the stuff that you carry in your brain that you memorize, right? Right here, all the stuff that you see around you. The middle part's the limbic brain, the limbic, which holds the emotions, which fires off instructions to your major organs, your adrenals, and so forth and so on. And then you get the subconscious in the back of your head that records everything. It's like the software that you run on, right? That's important. So, like I said, you need all three to work simultaneously. I'll tell you one more story, and I should probably go. I used to work in the hospital with brain people, brain injury people at U of M Hospital when I was in college. And I had this guy, I'll never forget him. He was he was a jockey, a horse jockey. And he'd work on these they call them trotters. So like it's like a little cart, you sit in this little seat, and then you gotta whip the horses and they call them trotters. You know, he didn't actually ride on the horse, but it was like a little buggy. And they used to do this over at Northville Downs, which is in Northville of all places. Can you imagine? Uh, Northville, Michigan. And then there was another one that they took down, DRC. That was over in Livonia. That's not there anymore. It's a parking lot now. It's where the Myers shopping plaza is. Anyway, he got injured. A horse actually kicked him in the head, like right here. And I'm telling you the truth, it hit him so hard that I saw like the horseshoe imprint on his forehead. And it was like you could see the rivets in there and everything. Yeah. And it was like intense. And he didn't know where he was. He didn't know he didn't know what day it was. And he used to ask me, "Did you feed the horses?" I said, "Yeah, I took care of it." I had to step out of the hospital room, walk down the hall, wait for about 5 minutes, turn around, come back, and tell him, "Yeah, I fed the horses." He would ask me every day because it damaged this part of his brain. I hope he got out of that. I hope he was healed, but I don't know if he'll ever get that healed. I don't know if he can actually heal that. You know, I mean, it's like a Phineas Gage type story. You know, the guy who blew up some dynamite. He got a steel pipe stuck right through his brain. That's how we're able to find out the brain. The thing stuck right through his head back in the 1800s, I think it was. The brain is something pretty serious, man. It records and holds on to stuff. So here's my point on that. You don't have to go through that traumatic experience of getting kicked in the head to alter your thinking. You can do it without that by holding on to your resentments and holding on to your anger and frustrations and memories and hatred and jealousy. What's the difference of getting a head injury? What's the difference of holding on to your jealousy and then making just gross estimations of people that you barely know? Wow, that's pretty messed up. But it's just as strong and it's just as long lasting as that. There's no difference. Not really. Not if you're going to live condemned. But maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you get off on that energy. It makes you feel powerful. Makes you feel self-righteous that you know, I've seen people with egos, man. In advertising, yes, they're out there. I was one of them at one time, and I gave it up because the ego is so hard to deal with. Ego only gives you 10% of your brain's optimizing. I'm sorry, your operating power. It's only 10%. Also stands for the ego's acronym for edging God out. Now, when your ego is tamed and eliminated, it opens up the possibilities and the doorway for the other 90% of your brain, which is where all the subconscious stuff comes from. That's all of the good stuff that comes in. Manifestation power, overcoming your problems subconsciously. to the point where we're actually winning becomes habitual. And you don't want to give it up. That's personal power. Yes. I think when it's done, when you do the work, it's stronger than some of the NLP programs out there. I don't want to go into a whole lot of listing, but you've seen all the big names out there. Ho'oponopono, that's from Hawaii. Yeah, that's a mental healing program, and I used to think that was great, and I still do, because Dr. Hui Lin, was really good at healing people with just his mind in a very simple technique of "I love you," "I'm sorry," and he had 4 things he would say: "Please forgive me," and you know, by looking at photographs of people and getting them well, cleaning. He was constantly cleaning. The whole practice, like the kahunas. Now that's a whole other thing right there. Got a little chill on that. That's my Kundalini popping up. Whenever I get like profound truth, that always rings, and it's on the back of my spine. So listen to what I'm telling you. If you were truly hanging out with enlightened people, you probably wouldn't have as many problems as you have. How many people in your life are enlightened? And I'm not just talking about everyday people you know. Everybody, your neighbors, places where you go, your gym, people you work out with, people you hang out with after work. How many people are condemned prisoners because they made themselves so miserable that they never actually reached any type of spiritual life, and they're not enlightened because they don't have their chakras opened up. They've taken shortcuts. Maybe they take pills, mood depressants, alcohol to numb themselves because they don't want to deal, they don't want to feel anything. And when they shut themselves off the vibration, and your noise becomes too much to deal with, you develop a thing called monkey mind. And I don't care if you're doing pot or alcohol or whatever, that makes no difference to me. But when you can't slow your brain down and you got rapid thoughts going on, one after another, boom, 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 and you can't get to that place of peace, and the light can't get in because it's got to be at a very, very slow rate. You remember, like, we were talking about the Earth, when the Earth goes on like I think it's like 7 megahertz. That's the speed it goes in. That's when you want to get in tune with nature. You want to you want to slow your body down to a small vibration where you can absorb answers and insight. That's programming. Forget the stuff that's on TV. This is real programming, universal programming. I hope that helps. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. I wish everyone a happy New Year. I hope you got something out of this program. And if you have questions, and I'm sure you do, you could always call me at 248-277-6141. You can always email me at tedcantu@gmail.com, and look for me online at tedcantu.com. Take a deep breath. This too shall pass. We'll get some tea. Did you know there's a company that has different teas now for each chakra center? Pretty cool stuff. I got one for the root chakra, which is at the base of your spine where all the Kundalini is open. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. And you can get one for the crown right here to connect to the universe, if you believe in that sort of thing. I was criticized one time. People say, you believe everything you read. I do. But I only read good stuff. I don't read garbage or watch garbage. I got to really think about my cable system too. I haven't been, I don't need 900 channels of junk. The world's a confusing place all by itself. And clean out your Twitter box too. A lot of junk in there is getting through lately. Getting through the spam, the filters. They really try to program you through this stuff, and you are surrounded by what you create. Just remember those things. So important. Anyway, if you're hurting, call me, contact me. We'll get through it. Rottingham, I probably won't be visiting this place again. Hopefully you won't either. So this is Ted Cantu saying, keep up the good fight. And if I can get over my problems, you can too. And I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you online.